Welcome back, and I'm very, very proud to have these ladies with me, and finally girl power in the studio. With me now is Dr. Anat Hochberg-Marom, terror expert at the IDC Herzliya. Good evening.
Good evening.
And also Orit Perlov, Middle East Social Network expert at the INSS. Good evening.
Good evening.
And Lieutenant Colonel in the Reserves, Avital Leibovitz, Director of the AJC Israel. Good evening.
Good evening.
Before we will open this discussion, I just want to go. You know, I'm hearing the Parliament member Michaeli saying that this is not the time. This is a wartime. We should not discuss this. We should not discuss this dangerous conversation that we are experiencing for the last few months in the Israeli society. And I'm saying, why not in a wartime? Why not now, especially now, when everyone is allowing themselves to say anything and everything, and so much hate is just spilled all over in the social media? Why not to put this also in the front and to think that maybe this is another angle that Israel needs to fight? Because this can actually help you win a war and not lose it.
I think discussing is very important. It's critical. However, what brings the Israeli society together is actually times like this. We see a very impressive unity in the country. 30,000 people, civilians who had not known a lone soldier, decided, because of the social media, just to go to the funeral and identify with the family, with the parents, and with the values of saving sacrificing your life for the country. So I think discussions are important. I'm not sure that any time is the best time to discussion, especially this time. I think unity should be better, especially facing the outside world. Social media, of course, is a fertile ground for different kinds of discussions from different sides, different opinions. The question is, are people not crossing the red line? And this is something we need to discuss deeply. What is that red line, and what is the consequences if it's crossed?
And people are crossing the red line, of course.
Right. I do think that the struggle is not over only the military zone, military arena. It's not only the political arena that we are struggling on, but on influence public opinion, period. What Hamas is leading now is a struggle over public opinion, either the Palestinians, the Arabs, the Muslims, also the Western public opinion, in order to achieve legitimacy, recognition, and public support, the worldwide public support. We should be united and not disunite ourselves on one hand, but on the other hand, this is the time not to quarrel inside ourselves. It's the time to do anything in order to be united.
I can just tell you in general. Usually the social networks is always more toxic,
of course,
than on the outside world. It's always like that. In a wartime operation, we see even further toxicity on the social networks. I don't think we can manage or control the amount of toxin and the radicalization that we can see over the social networks. I guess analyzing, you can always do backward when you have the bigger, the bigger picture. When it's end, you can have the perspective, and then you can do the analyzing and see if the glue inside of our society is getting a little bit weaker or not. I'm not sure that it will be wise to do it, not because I'm afraid that the glue will, that will separate even more. It's just that I don't think when you are in a situation, you're not able to look at it from outside and to understand the fully pictures, usually only after that something, when the event is, ended, it's easier to see what and to analyze really the effect of what happened.
It is spilling out. It is getting out of the borders of social media, because it starts in social media with some, let's say, groups on Facebook that are saying yes for revenge, and that to hate Arabs is not a crime, and everything, and and you're saying, okay, these are words, they are in the social media, let them fight, let them say what they want. But 2 days ago, we're experiencing and we're seeing and we're hearing about 2 Arabs being beaten up in East Jerusalem because they are Arabs. So it means that these social media are huge signs to what is actually can happen on the street.
Yeah, but in social media you have what it's called a trend. And we have to be very careful when we are looking at these phenomena, like you just described, whether they were talking about a small minority in the population or it's a worldwide trend which is sweeping now the different social media and the networks. I think it's not a big trend. I think it's marginal. On the other hand, social media, where you hide behind an initial and you don't put your real picture there, of course, you're more free to say and express whatever you feel and whatever you want.
You know what is the dangerous thing? That people don't have any problem to even show their real identity and to say that they hate, to say that they're hating people and they don't, they want them dead and they want to see them in gas changed and whatever.
And you know that those people that use their own image are actually a great tool for law enforcement, because the police, for example, is using those things as proofs, and they're looking for this. They're treating it as intelligence information, and looking for those lawbreakers.
Yeah. Look at the outside world. Look at what's going on in Europe. Look what's going on nowadays in the United States. It's not only provincial, marginal, Israeli public opinion. It goes out either in the virtual arena. No, we know what happens right now. It's only microcosmos what happens here right now at the moment in Israel. We have to look at the outside, at the public opinion trends, and see what could happen. Not in a longer way from now. It could be tomorrow morning. It could be.
Fragmentation is completely. I have to say
here.
that if we're looking at the bigger picture, we do see fragmentation, and we see we see a lot of signs of radicalization at the moment and fragmentation, and it's not only outside, also in Israel. I say that if you find incitement inside the social net, you need to treat it as much as you treat any other group. And it's easy. If you ask me, it's even giving you the advantage, because since we can hear the people and we can see their faces, it's easier to trace it when it was, behind the scene and we couldn't hear them. I mean, voices were there. The fact that now it's came up, above, we see today the underground in Gaza and what's happened in Gaza elite. So now I'm saying people were always, we had incitement, now we can hear them and we can see them.
What is happening in Gaza? Because we are, we know what is happening in Israel. We know what is the public opinion about what is going on and about the operation. But what is going on in Gaza? Because to use their actual maybe faces and real identities, this I believe that doesn't happen. But a lot of voices from the Gaza Strip.
A lot of voices. I'll say maybe three things. One, the majority outside that we see now, we see a lot of depression. We see a lot of, they're usually giving us a lot of images of the devastation and what we see outside of their houses. We see the people in the schools, what happened with the refugees. We have like 200,000 people outside their houses. They counting the names, they counting the dead. They're saying which family belongs, which martyr belongs to which family, in what part do we see the bombing, giving a lot of alarms and stuff like that, but a lot of depression, a lot of, a lot of explanation, I think, of what do you want from us? You're telling us that we are human shields, but what do you expect from us to do? I mean, whoever knows Gaza knows that there is no public, the public sphere, you don't have it in Gaza. I mean, when you tell somebody go out the house, we're going to bomb, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. That's how they see it. It's always, they're telling me, we're not Hamas, we're not militant, we're not human shields, we just live in a house. And once upon a time, we thought that the house is very much secured. Apparently, today, the graveyards are more secure than our own houses. That's what you can hear today. If you know the people and you know the public opinion and you have what gave us the social networks, it gave us like a direct platform for conversation that you can manage even these days, then you can hear a little bit of depth analysis of what we can see from there.
I think we're looking at, I'm sorry, I'm going to be blunt here. I think we're looking at one big production, because you saw the Shifa Hospital. The Shifa Hospital today was the story of the day, because there were numerous rockets fired from that hospital. Today the proof was out there, visual to the entire world. But the production was that there was a set of a camera and a microphone, and the interviews took place from there. And it's not the only thing. If you can watch carefully in the pictures on the social media, you can see suddenly between the rubble, you can see a brand new red doll or a children's cart, brand new, suddenly out of the rubble. So while, the pictures are difficult for me as an Israeli as well, and I fear for them, for their lives, However, it's a production, and we must not shut their eyes. Now, when you have social media tools, you don't need editors here. You are your own editor.
But
we have to understand that it's a power of words, power of language, power of images. It's not a media struggle, it's a political over public opinion. The way they shape the ideas, the opinions of worldwide people around the world. This is it. This is their war, but this is also our struggle. It's not only the media struggle. We have to do anything in order to be, on one hand, united, and on the other hand, to say the same words in virtual arena, the virtual sphere, as well as all outside the street here in Tel Aviv, here in all over Israel. It's not enough to say this is theirs struggle.
You know, what is the responsibility you think that Israel has after this operation? Because Israel will have to fight, and will have to look, and will have to explain to the world these images and what is happening in Gaza, and Israel will have to maybe find a way to get out of it in an elegant way. Do you think that Israel has the responsibility also to rebuild what happened in Gaza, to rebuild the Gaza Strip? Because to convince small children that Israel is not the one to blame, it's not going to help, because they're not going to be convinced, because for them, Israel destroyed their houses. So what is the responsibility of Israel at the end of the day, at the end of this operation, on the citizens of Gaza? Because to feel for the people of Gaza, this is perfect, but the question is, because they're not going to get the help from Hamas, and in one way or another, Israel has a responsibility about what is happening in the Gaza Strip.
So the first and foremost responsibility of Israel is not to the people of Gaza, but to the people of Israel. This is number one choice, number one priority, and this is what Israel needs to deal with. If you're asking me about Gaza, as far as I know, there are more than 100 countries or organizations that have been providing Gaza with money for the last decade. Where is that money going? We don't know. We know where the cement went. We know that 70% of Gaza's electricity that was actually given by Israel and to the Gazan people went to manufacturing rockets. So Israel needs to make sure that it ends this operation with a security and stable situation for the people of Israel, first and foremost. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but trucks of goods and humanitarian aid kept on flowing in the last 21 days, almost every day, as well as the years before that. And basically everything they ask for, they get. But naturally, the first priority of Israel will be to secure... They will tell you
maybe things can get in and get out, but people cannot get in and get out. People are living in a siege in one way or another. So you cannot just come and say, okay, I'm giving you food, I'm giving you this, and just live the way that you need to live. Because at the end of the day, because we are doing this differing between the civilians and the terrorists who are controlling the civilians, it's enough to see what is happening in the international media, in German TV, and in the British TV, about journalists who are in Gaza and seeing how the Hamas people are controlling the people, to understand that it's a much, like we're saying all the time, it's a cynical, brutal game that at the end of the day, these children are not seeing it. They are seeing Israel. And the question again, is Israel or should Israel have a responsibility about these kids, that they're going to blame Israel? And this is another cycle that Israel will have to deal with in 20 years.
The main responsibility is that this operation is finished and we won't have another digging sounds of tunnels underneath the kibbutzes and the communities in Israel, or we won't have the rockets that can reach all the way to Haifa. Now, we're talking about the Rafah crossing, what you mentioned. So there are three possibilities. One is the Egyptians will control the border, the Rafah border crossing. The second one will be that Abu Mazen will control it. And the third one, there will be an international party that will be there. Currently, if Turkey and Qatar are in the picture and Egypt is out, I don't see any solution in the near future.
I think that Egypt should be inside, should lead this negotiation, should do anything she can in order to have to be stable arena, a stable time, and more security than we have right now. The reason that I totally agree with you, because first we have to take care of our kids, to see what's going on at present. I mean, it's to be in a kindergarten in next to Gaza at the kibbutzim over the south is a nightmare. Although we can be very humanitarian and think, however, how are the kids in Gaza? We have to take care first of our kids. And
of course, the question is always that I'm asking is after that Israel is taking care about the tunnels and taking care of Hamas and taking care and demolishing the arms. The question, of course, is always coming after. What will happen after? After Israel will finish and get rid of Hamas, you still stay with people who are also demolished. You are staying still with children who are still having scars for the rest of their lives. And this is a new battle that you have to fight in order to change their mind.
I agree. I'll say one word about what my opinion regarding this, your question, and I'll say after that one word about how Egyptians see what's going on now in Gaza, and maybe it will answer what's Egypt's role in this drama that we're having. So I always say that what's beautiful with karma, that it doesn't have an expiring, tag on it. And we thought we're going to disengagement and we're getting a Catholic wedding, which means that every year we're having another round and people dying. And the fact that we thought that we can separate, and that's maybe we disagree, but unless, when you want to fight an idea, you need to fight it with a different idea. We cannot, that is my personal opinion. I think as long as we'll think that we'll be able, I've been in Europe now, and they told me when your neighbor has a fire, it's usually getting to your house and at some point. So I don't believe that if we won't take responsibility, I always believe that I have 100% responsibility and my partner have 100%. So I just want to be sure that I'm doing my part. That's my personal opinion. Now, regarding what the sounds coming from Egypt, and that's we need to understand. At the moment, the bigger fight is between Hamas and Sisi. Sisi decided less than a year ago, it's not a year ago, a year ago, he said, in my time, there won't be a thing called the Muslim Brotherhood, and he meant the thing. To him, to sign a deal with Hamas, it's meaning that he will have to go back home politically and explain why he's not negotiating with the Muslim Brotherhood. In Egypt, there's three things that are more important than Gaza. They're saying Gaza, it's a humanitarian disaster, but it's not a strategic threat on Egypt at the moment. We are, the Egyptian, going to disengage from Gaza. We are not planning to open the Gaza. Yeah, they're good, the learning curve from us is very fantastic.
Of the Israelis,
yeah, completely. He wants to close. There's no, and at the moment, the price is like that at the moment Sisi doesn't want to open the Rafah border, and we need to say it very straightforward for 24.
He means
exactly.
Business.
He wants to finish the tunnels, he wants to finish, but he doesn't want to engage with the population because he knows that he will fire back. He's got Libya, which is much more dangerous at the moment for Egypt. They have what we're calling the ISIS, the ISIS, the Islamic State. That much more. ISIS is something that much more in danger, a bigger problem from Egypt. And for him, Gaza at the moment, he can let Israel to continue this fighting with Hamas. For them, it's fantastic, and they know since they own the gate, one of the gates, Rafah border. In any point, if it will be now, in a month or 2 months, Egypt will be in the picture. So they are not in a hurry to finish this one, and that's I can tell you that coming from the social network, the analysis that's coming from Egypt regarding.
Before we will look, and we will have just a small, 2 minutes, before we're finishing, let's move a little bit. We talked about the people in the Gaza Strip. Let's talk about a little bit about the Israelis. Until when the Israelis will continue fighting themselves? Because we are saying that the Israelis are united and they are, everybody is going to help the soldiers, and everybody's going to and talking about bringing good things to the soldiers. Until when Israelis will continue fighting between left and right?
I think that this time, more than other operations, we're in a different situation. Tonight is a very difficult night in Israel because there were quite a few attacks and lives of soldiers, precious lives were lost, and on the other side as well. But somehow I think that Israelis are more mature in their understanding and their patience. We have not seen this in the previous operations, not in Kasled nor in the Lebanon war. And we are already, 21, 22 days into this operation, and the message that it's going to take a long time is sinking in. it's sinking in, and you can see it on the public. You can see it on the people, and the support is still there. The high percentage for the government's policy is something that we've never seen in the past.
Ladies, thank you very, very much. Such a pleasure to finish this 2.5 hours with three wonderful women. Thank you very much for coming to the studio. And thank you, our viewers, for being with us tonight. Tomorrow we will be here at the same time, same place from the Jaffa Port, Israel. Have peace. Good night.